Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X. We're glad to have you all with us. Going to connect with our friends over on Instagram. There they go. So they can be a part of our chat. And then we're going to have our friends over on Amazon joining us as well. We have a familiar face that's with us today on a different day because our series is over, but we're excited to welcome back our next guest to our broadcast. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. So glad you guys could join us over on Amazon. If you guys are new to the program, typing you guys in a welcome over there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see that here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest, who's a familiar face for you guys. Ally Dalsimer is back with us. She's the author of It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. We've talked about that, of course, on our series. We're going to talk to Ally not only about the series, but also what it's been like for her to do different areas of her life, including speaking. We also have a special reminder for you guys on Amazon that you guys can look forward to, featuring Ally and others as well. Hello to you, Marie, over there on IGs. Appreciate you. Brianna, hello to you. But Ally, how we doing?
Hi, Cyrus. I'm doing wonderfully today. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully too. I'm so good to be able to see you, and it feels funny. I almost wanted to say, "Welcome to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every
Right.
Day," because I was saying that for a dozen weeks. So, Ally, how does it feel to be on this side of our series that we had on Amazon?
Yeah. Well, first I had a similar experience, right? I'm like, wait, it's not Friday yet. Um, but yeah, I have mixed feelings. I really enjoyed talking about the book. I thought it was great. I love the interaction that we have, but I'm also really happy with how it turned out and,
Yeah.
feel really proud that we accomplished that.
Yeah. And to know that it's there. So for you guys over on the Amazon side, if you missed any of the series, make sure you guys do head over to Amazon. We have something special to share with you guys this weekend too. So look out for that. Also, we have a special announcement about something coming next weekend that Ally's a part of. Ally, I want to begin our conversation today. I was thinking about our series, but I want to
Mhm.
begin our conversation with the way you ended. It's okay not to be fabulous every day. And I want to read what you said about what your goal was. And I thought
Mhm.
about it in reflection of our series, but also these conversations. You say in the book, A Final Word, I wrote this book with the intent of empowering others to choose to see the half full glass, to know there is gladness amid the misery, to dare to lean into the uncertainty of an unknown future, and to understand we all have the power to live our dream lives. When you kind of reflect on what's happened since the book's release and your response, do you feel like you have achieved what you wanted?
I believe success is an ongoing process. I don't think there's an infinite end goal.
Gotcha.
Even Michael Phelps practices every day to shave those thousandths of a second, right? So
Mhm.
I believe that we all step into tomorrow's promise and potential. So I believe that we are achieving success, and I believe that the series helped in just talking with more people. And I think when I talk with folks. In fact, I had a conversation with a woman this morning,
Mm.
and I feel like success is happening in terms of people receiving the message in a positive way. And I feel personally that I am definitely proceeding on my journey to self discovery
Yeah.
every day, and seeing that half full glass and embracing, my inner fabulosity. So, and really thrilled to share it with others.
Yeah. It's funny as you were talking, what I thought about too when I was reading those words this time around is that I wonder how much of this book was for you, Allie,
Hmm.
instead of for us. Because in
Yeah.
the conversations that we've had, it seems like you've already seen your own growth and development, even since you penned the words. Would you agree?
Yes. So this book was originally for my kids. It started as life advice for them
Hmm.
to try and help them. I start with, be good, be kind, be humble, but also don't let other people bring you down and other
Yeah.
things, and sharing that life advice with them. Um, and as you know, they encouraged me to publish, but going through the process and actually, just I'll be honest, having you read those words just now and hearing them really made me happy, because I feel like I've journeyed quite a long way, and I feel
Yeah.
like this book has been um, I don't know what the right way to express it is. I guess maybe I'm the guinea pig. I'm the
Hmm.
guinea pig
Yeah, yeah,
who went down this path,
yeah,
and I feel like I'm having a successful outcome from following my own steps, which absolutely were not intended for me originally, but
yeah.
from which I definitely have benefited.
Ally, the reason why I asked you that question, which is why I felt that, that's what how it started. Words I Choose to Live by, my book.
Hmm.
Those were mantras I wrote for myself initially, and then to kind of, give myself something to think about, and then I decided just to start sharing them on social media.
Hmm.
And that's what led to what became the book. And I think a lot of times the things that we do are for us, right? Initially, even though we, as you said, we may not even think about that at the time, it may be what we need to be able to remind ourselves of how far we've come. So talk about that for you, because we've gotten to know you better, Ally, through the book. You and I have never met in person, but even through the pages of the book, we get an idea of what drives you, what is it that kind of keeps you moving forward, how you're able to, as you just talked about, measure your own success. What has that been like for you to allow people in to your world and to be able to get to know you in a more intimate way?
Yeah, so kind of a double-edged sword. I've always been a very private person. I've never really shared much of myself, and now it's like, hello world, here I am. So,
Yeah.
but fortunately, uh, it's been, I'm not sure what the word is. It's provided a positive reinforcement loop to continue
Mhm.
doing that, because the reception that I've received within this community, within the motivational community, within the community of writers and readers and people to who want to pursue their own dreams and who really are looking for their own path forward. That response has been very positive. Unlike, we've talked about one in the political world, which was just the opposite of positive.
Yeah.
Um, and and so it's been empowering
Mm.
to know that it's okay for me to share my story. I'm not going to get beaten down, or people aren't going to berate me for my flaws and foibles. And it's allowed me to better embrace them, which I think has been huge in helping me move forward in my own journey. Just being able to embrace, my perfect imperfections.
Right.
And so I guess the other side of the coin is that it's empowering and self-fulfilling,
Mhm.
So yeah, does that answer the question?
It does, and it's
Okay.
so funny you mentioned the campaign. I'm actually going to read something from the book that we didn't talk about in the series, because there was a message in there I wanted to share. I want to say
Okay.
hello to SMF Consulting. Hello to you, counseling. I'm sorry, SMF Counseling. Hello to you, TNL Radio and TV. Good to be able to see you as well. Glad you could join us over there on IG. For you guys over on Amazon, appreciate you guys being with us too. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the hearts. If you guys have any questions or comments for Ally, make sure you guys put those in the chat. Ally, it also goes to another point, and I have learned this too in people I've been fortunate to have in my life, but also just in living, and being able to see people differently. And you wrote something else in the book, and have my trusty little pieces of paper here to remind me. In this chapter, it this is what you quoted was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Hatred paralyzes life, love releases it. Hatred confuses life, love harmonizes it. Hatred darkens life, love illuminates it. And you talk about in this particular chapter just about the idea of fear. And I want to share something that you said, because I think this is a really powerful thing. You say fear of change really means fear of the unknown. If we allow fear to dictate our lives and our paths, we harm not only ourselves, but often others as well. When fear is based on an all consuming irrationality, we become angry. Anger causes us to lash out like scared animals. Eventually, when our fears have no basis in fact or reality, our anger deepens and morphs into hate. This hate is at the root of all the negative isms of our world. I want to talk about that because there's something I had heard Iyanla Van Zant say with Oprah. I had never heard this before, but it made a lot of sense. And she said, the opposite of love is fear.
Mhm.
And everything else kind of comes from that fear. When did you realize that? And how has that helped you to realize that everything doesn't necessarily start with hate, but it can grow into that?
Well, I actually have a degree in psychology.
Hmm.
Um, and and so, human behavior and human psychology are things that I studied,
Hmm.
and even after school have continued to read about. um, I always secretly wanted to be a criminal profiler, so I still
Mm.
have uh, I still read lots of articles,
Yeah.
Psychology Today and whatever. I'm kind of a geek that way. But it's something that I've known for a long time. And it's 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 a message that may not seem intuitive at first, but once you think about it, it actually really is. And I think it was important to share with others, because I think sometimes people don't realize it and they don't recognize their own fears. And one of the things I was really hoping to get from that is not only to let people realize that people who are just so cruel and mean, um, are coming from an irrational place. But
Hmm.
I'm also hoping that people who are coming from that place will see that and recognize it within themselves, so that they can begin their own healing journeys. Because people who truly hate are broken. They're broken people in some way. And and I will hope that they would be able to recognize it, because you can't heal until you recognize. It's the old, the 12 steps alcoholism thing.
Yeah.
You can't fix the problem until you recognize and accept that you have a problem. And
Yeah.
so the reason I put that in there was twofold. So I'm hoping that it helps people
Yeah.
not only have some understanding and perhaps compassion, maybe, for people who are really horrible towards them, but also those people who are in need of healing.
Right. Right. And I think for you, by the time we get to that part of the book, Allie, what we're able to see is how you're able to do it. It's not easy for everyone to do that. But I think as we've gotten to know you, and this is my thought as a reader, and I'd love to know your thoughts if you would agree, is that we realize that there are situations that you even see that people could very easily misjudge you based on what they see on the outside, instead of knowing who you are and what you've gone through and how you've been able to deal. It kind of like what we talked about in the series about judging, right? It's so easy for us to judge people based on what we see. Well, why can't they do this? Why aren't they doing this? And instead of understanding what's underneath the surface, do you think that has helped you to not be so quick to want to judge others and the why of what they do?
No, I'm very judgy. No. No, I mean, we all as human beings, our brains make snap judgments.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
old, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, right? So
Mhm.
we automatically, our brains are just hardwired through survival instincts to assess very quickly, within nanoseconds, to assess other people. And we make these judgments, and we can't help that. Everybody just does that. Where we can help, where we can intervene and influence our judgments is, once we've decided, oh, this person is XYZ, in that literally half a second before we even say anything to them, is to then be open to learning their reality, listening to them, and really understanding people. And so I think that's where I've tried to put some work in, and where I think people can do that if they want to be less judgmental, if they want to be less judgy. it's
Mhm.
it's it's in that, after that first half second, it's being open to being willing to change your mind about someone, and not let first impressions um, dictate your final opinion.
Yeah.
Although, we are pretty good. Most of us are pretty good with our first impressions. We
Mhm.
can get a good sense of people pretty quickly, and it's important to listen to your inner instincts as well. So if you're listening to someone and they're saying things that go counter to what you're thinking, but you're really thinking something, in that case, I don't know. I would say listen to your inner voice, because we're
Yeah.
usually right.
Gotcha. That's interesting, and I think that's a really good point. I think it goes to something that Oprah quotes again, giving them a lot of free real estate here on this show. But I mean, when she quotes, I had never heard the saying until Oprah shared the clip of Maya Angelou saying, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time."
Mhm.
And I think it kind of goes to that point because sometimes I think we do try to dismiss, "Oh, you're not really like that," or "That person's not." There's something. But I love that point that you're making there. So I want to talk about Ally Dalsimer as the authority because that's going to lead us to this new chapter, quote unquote, of your life as a speaker. If the book was something that was not planned, did you see yourself as a speaker before the book?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't. But I'm making an active choice to pursue it.
Yeah.
I've been, but again, typical of how my whole career has gone. I've been offered opportunities,
Hmm.
and so then my decision point is, do I want to pursue it? And once I do, then
Yeah.
I try to commit fully to it and be the best I can be at it. But no, I didn't. I didn't see it coming. It came on me.
So what has that been like for you then to embrace?
Well, drinking from a fire hydrant again, drinking from a fire hose, because there's a lot to it. But I'm coming up that learning curve, and I've had a few talks that I've given, and um, some have gone better than others,
Mm,
and that's okay. And I'm learning and I'm growing, and I'm really finding that just having a conversation with people, which is really what my kind of presentation needs to be, is just
mhm.
talking to people.
Yeah.
Um, is I mean, I have a series of talks, but just conveying that message in a way that's natural, that 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 speaks to whatever the people I'm talking to are wanting to hear, because you
Yeah.
want to be able to share a message that's relevant to whomever you're speaking with.
Mm. So that leads us to an obvious question then, Allie. What do you see as your core message? I think everyone kind of has their core. They can talk about different things, but
Mhm.
what do you see as your core message that is most reflective of Ally Dalsimer?
I think the thing that underlies everything is literally choosing to embrace your inner fabulosity so that you can maximize your personal potential. And I know I say that a lot, but that comes in many, many forms, right? And so, maybe that's gracing yourself kindness and patience, learning how to take a step back from busy, active life and really focusing on yourself. Or maybe it's, you've spent your life doing stuff for others, and now it's time for you to pursue your dream and your goals and being motivated and fighting for what you want. Or maybe you're very new to the whole process. I speak to college age women, and what is it that they need to do? A lot of them don't know what they want to do when they're graduating college, right? They're like,
Mm.
I don't know, the world is my oyster. And so trying to help them figure out ways that they can lean into the things that they love and that will bring them real satisfaction and joy. But I think under all of it is really learning to embrace what is unique and special within you, within each and every one of us. There's something unique, so that
Right.
you can achieve the life that you want, whatever that is. Everybody wants something different for their lives.
Right.
So that's, I think, the core of my message.
Love that. Well, we're excited at Conversations Media Group to have Allie join us and some amazing women in an Amazon exclusive event that's taking place next Saturday. There's no admission cost. It's totally free here on Amazon, and we're excited to be able to share the first look at our new graphic designed by Melissa Banks today. And the event is called Stronger Together: How Mothers and Daughters Can Unite to Make a Difference. Now, you may wonder, okay, Cyrus, why are you giving a conference on mothers and daughters? Is because I have been so impacted by individuals like my own mother, my own grandmother, and their relationships, and knowing the things that they've been able to learn from each other, to share from one another. So I'm excited to welcome Melissa Banks, Ally Dalsimer, Chanel Coleman Wesley, and our keynote speaker, Melanie D. Phillips, to be able to talk about different aspects of those relationships, ways to communicate, ways to be able to come together And again, that's going to be next Saturday, May the 17th. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central. Of course, that's 10 a.m. PST for you guys. Again, exclusively on Amazon. So there's no cost to this, but you will have to be able to view it on Amazon. So make sure you guys, if you're not following us on Amazon, make sure you guys are doing that so you can be able to be a part of this free event. Again, that's taking place the first in a series that we're doing. Again, Cyrus Webb Presents Stronger Together, How Mothers and Daughters Can Unite to Make a Difference. Ally, so glad to have you be a part of this. Ally is also featured on the cover of Conversations magazine that's coming out right after the conference. We're going to keep this conversation going as well. But Ally, I'm glad to have you with us. I don't want you to give us everything, but what can you tell us about what you hope people take away from your part of the Stronger Together conference?
Well, I'll tell you, Cyrus, I just finished it yesterday. I just finished my presentation, and it didn't turn out the way I intended. I sat down and I planned to write about my relationship with my daughter, and I ended up not doing that. And I don't want to give too much away, but I will say, when I read it through, and I think I mentioned this to you once, but yeah, I just burst into tears. So I'm hoping that I don't do it. But I think what I can say is that my talk will look to the past with an eye towards the potential and possibilities of the future.
I like that. That's a great teaser, Ally. Yeah, that's a true writer for you. Give us just enough to have us interested. So again, everyone, if you want to hear Ally, Melanie, Melissa, and Chanel, make sure you guys do make plans to join us next Saturday. Again, exclusively on Amazon. Again, there's no cost. All you have to do is come over to Amazon to be a part of our Amazon exclusive. First in the series we're going to be doing of Amazon exclusives, and we have some big ones coming up we're working on. Ally, it's so great to be able to speak with you again. Congratulations. I know our conversations will continue around the book and the work you're doing. The next time we talk, I'm excited about being able to talk more about how this book is going to continue to inspire people. Let our audience know, though, how to stay connected with you. And you have a newsletter, too. Let them know how to sign up for that.
I do. Thank you so much. Yes, you can find me on the socials. I'm most active on Instagram. And you can sign up for my newsletter through my website, allydalsimer.com/newsletter. And it goes out twice a month and filled with useful tools and resources. And thinking about doing a Summer of Success series where we look at everyday people and how they're maximizing their potential and what we can learn from it. So
love that. Love that. Sounds great. Well, Ally, congratulations again. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you, Cyrus. And thanks everybody for tuning in today. It's been a real pleasure. Really has.
Pleasure's definitely all ours. For you guys on Amazon, we have much more coming up with you guys today. We have an interview coming up in the top of the next hour. Also, keep in mind, we do have our live segment with Makita Smith about her book, Flying Over 50 at Any Age. And our big thing for today, I'll be heading out, leaving the studio here in Brandon, going to Jackson for a live hour at Smilo Prep in Jackson, Mississippi for Teacher Appreciation Week. So excited about that. All of that will be coming to you guys today here on Amazon. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.